Is the twin flame journey harder than other spiritual awakenings? So let's delve into this just a little bit. That it may seem like the twin flame journey is harder than other spiritual awakenings because it is extremely intense and it happens over a short period of time that the ego death starts to happen. Okay, and there is sometimes, because so much of an attachment is present with the ego, that we live our lives through the ego, that when this ego death kicks in, one is not always very ready for it because it is sudden, it is intense, and in the beginning, one can feel that I do not know why things are going the way they are going, and I don't know where it is headed. So, the twin flame awakening process can seem to be more intense than other spiritual awakenings, which go more slowly, which have more time, to themselves. And this is also why you see beings who go through other spiritual awakenings may have a completely different path from the path of a twin flame, because for them, they can very easily come into the acceptance of the path that they are walking on. But their ego, depending on their intensity, their ego may still be very, very present with them. And the kundalini energy may not be felt so palpably by others who go through spiritual awakenings, in various chakras. So there are so many paths to union, union with the divine, the union of both energies within, that every individual undertakes when, they spiritually start awakening. That is where they are headed. So with a twin flame journey, it is more intense, it is more sudden, and the ego crumbles very fast. And sometimes, what happens is that many patterns that you would have been carrying and finding very difficult to release are removed from your life. Very, it might seem like, sudden, or it might just seem like it is harsh, because sometimes you could be feeling a lot of solitude, loneliness, a sense of isolation, a sense of being in a void. I know that so many of you comment about this, a feeling of not having anybody to talk to, not having any friends, any other people around you. That may not be the case with others, who go through spiritual awakenings, because there are so many different kinds. Like I said, some may go through very intense spiritual awakenings. Intensely, they know that this is their life path, to now walk this path in this manner, in this way, with this person, could be a guru, and they dedicate everything to that. But some are, still in their normal day-to-day situations, in their normal jobs, and they just feel ready for some ounces of spirituality here and there. So, so I remember once, a few years ago, Sadhguru had referred to that as a flirtation with spirituality, or using spirituality as an entertainment. That, you're there, you meditate, you may not meditate, or you may sometimes be on this path and develop a spiritual ego where you feel like, I am so much better than others because I meditate, right? Because I read this spiritual book, or I went to this place, or something like that. So this can also be a pathway for some time, but of course it's not fully transformational till you completely give in. And for a twin flame, there is no choice that a twin flame has but to walk this journey of, your twin flame journey. You really don't have a choice. In effect, what you do is that if you do not accept this journey, if you go back into doubt and you want to go back to the matrix by saying, I want to have a soulmate relationship in my life, even though 100% you're on the twin flame path, then those are just detours that you're taking to prolong your ascension process. Or, anywhere where it is very difficult for you to let the higher power take control, um, that also unnecessarily prolongs it. Anywhere where you feel that my twin flame is outside of me and I need that person to be here for me to feel happy, um, and there's a little, less alignment with spiritual knowledge and understanding about who we are as, consciousness, etc., then that also can prolong, this awakening process that you're on. And so many other things also can prolong your awakening processes. Karmic entanglements from your end, and many, many other situations where you may still stay in disempowered situations. But otherwise, this is a very intelligent journey of its own. And you are initiated into the journey when you meet your twin flame. You pretty much are activated in a certain way to undertake this journey. And it's a fast journey, and it is a journey of completely dissolving your lower self, your egoic self, of completely coming into your full power, of your full feminine power as well. So there is no flirtation with spirituality on the twin flame journey, because it is like a full blown affair, with your spiritual path. Everything for a twin flame becomes about the journey, and it's not about the person necessarily, as you will realize as you go along on the journey, that it's not about the person necessarily, but it is about all the shifts that are happening within you. And it's not the 3D person, it's your inner, masculine and feminine, that are coming into harmony and that are being balanced. Because for a long, long time, the feminine has been repressed, and she has acted out of character and gone into acting in very masculine ways, not in a healthy way, but in a toxic kind of a way. So in that shedding, she is reclaiming her power and restoring that balance. In her awakening, she is restoring a balance at a higher level, at an optimum level, at the divinely optimum level, not at a low vibrational, level. So it's not possible, in fact, to balance it at a low vibrational level. So you have to ascend on the journey to really balance the journey. So this is why it's a very unique journey. But you can always, the spiritual truths are always the same everywhere. The pathways may vary. So you may follow any path, in yoga, for instance, and yoga, of course, means the path of union, not your physical postures, So there is bhakti yoga, which is a path of devotion. There is prema yoga, which is a path of love. There is Jnana Yoga, which is a path of knowledge and wisdom, and so on. So all of these paths, they're basically leading you to the same place. There are also Raj Yoga and Karma Yoga. So these are all various paths to reach the same goal of becoming enlightened, of coming into your true nature. That is your true nature. This false identification with the self, that is the self which is, carrying your name, your consciousness of the body, of the mind, your thought, your relationships, etc. That is the falsehood. So it may seem that it's like, I am moving from this false place into my true place. It may seem difficult, but always remember you are anchored in the true place. That is your truth. So if that is your truth, then how can that truth be uncomfortable or can be bad? It's just a waking up to that truth. In fact, being in the false self is more uncomfortable for you. If you truly are honest, there is never any consistency of joy, there is never any consistency of satisfaction, bliss, happiness, peace, love in the false self. But there is a lot of joy, peace, bliss, inclusion, and abundance and love in your true self. So you're moving from this identity of the false self to really knowing who you are. However much, a human being may try to decorate their life when they are unawakened, and they always decorate it with external objects, whether relationships, friendships, money, success, achievements, this and that, family, and social things, and cars and objects and houses and luxury holidays, or whatever it is. All of that is, it never seems enough to the person who owns so much in the physical. Like, one person will have so many different possessions here because they're trying to fill that inner void with all of these things, not knowing that this inner void can never be filled with all of these things. They will only want more, they'll only want bigger. I want a bigger car, I want a better car, now I want to buy a bigger house, I want to, buy more jewelry, I want to buy more clothes than I can even hold, right? More books, more things, maybe more degrees, and maybe more something else. So it's just, in any direction it goes in, even if it goes in the direction of intellect, where one may think, I want to gain more knowledge, right? I want to do get a doctorate in this subject and then get a double doctorate, or so on and so forth. That is also just, filling that void within through intellect. Or someone may be a compulsive shopper. There's not much difference here, actually. The society may judge the intellectual to be more superior to the one who is maybe buying a lot of material possessions, and think that that person is more, inferior or whatever. But that's not the case. In spiritual truth, everyone who is striving to do something on the outside and thinks that the outside has a solution to something which is a problem of the within, they are just going in circles, whether they realize it in this lifetime or they don't realize it. Even if they win a Nobel Prize, or they may become Miss Universe, or they may be the richest people in the world or the most successful people in the world, if there is an inner void within them that they have not fulfilled fully, that they have not come into, then those achievements and those ways of being don't mean anything, So every individual's journey is very, very different, and every soul is learning the lesson that is appropriate for them from this lifetime. But at the same time, every soul has an opportunity to spiritually awaken if they are receptive, if they are able, if they wish to. Sometimes the souls go through suffering just to have that gateway open, because the divine communicates with you when you are receptive. If you are not receptive to the divine, you will miss the divine. If you're not seeking the divine will also, not be available to you, because you will not have the receptivity. Even if the divine stands in front of you in a physical form, you will reject the divine. What we see happens in the matrix a lot of the times, divine beings, divinity is not accepted, right? It's questioned. So many times it happens. You might be experiencing it in your lives as you awaken. You might be triggering people in your family. You might be triggering your friends who don't understand you, right? You might have even triggered your, physical 3D twin flame counterpart at certain points of time in your journey, the way they trigger you, right? So this is just how it works. Divine, when you start to come into your divinity, you will not be everybody's cup of tea, right? But that is not something bad, or it doesn't mean that you have to exclude those for whom, who have resistance towards you or anything like that. You just accept that this is what life is, right? Your love is ever inclusive, just by your nature is that way. Your original nature, which you have arrived at, is going to be that way. So anyway, the point is that a twin flame journey is very different. It is very unique. Every human has a very unique life path. And within the twin flame community also, every twin flame will have their own unique kind of a life path. about when they will awaken, how quickly they will surrender, how big their ego is. Actually, it doesn't even matter how big the ego is. The ego can be very, very big, but how the identification with that ego can stop, right? That will make a difference. And what the karmic impressions are for every person, what kind of emotions they are, that are still buried, are present in them, and all of that. So that way every journey tends to vary, and it tends to have its own trajectory and its own timeline. And you are really not the doer of the journey. It's just happening to you. The way you met your twin is not somebody that you went and you sought. You would have never even heard the term twin flames. Like, I think majority of twin flames have never heard the term twin flames until they meet their twin flame and they go into their separation, and then they do that internet research about what on earth is happening to me. Am I going crazy? And then they come across the term twin flames. This is what happens to majority of twin flames, right? So this is how the journey is. Otherwise, you were living your life normally, you would not even have heard the term twin flames. Imagine. So, this is a unique journey, and it is different from other spiritual awakenings because it is fast and it is sudden, and it really removes everything from your, energetic system, because it involves a lot of growth. Anything which is happening really, really fast involves a lot of growth for you. Okay, so that's a great thing. Whenever you go through a challenge, you've healed, some stuff within you, and then, you have a break, and then again you're back into the dark night of the soul. Somebody had commented, how many times do I go into the dark night of the soul? It's a good sign. Means that now more stuff is coming up to be released. Means that, see, if you have a whole back room filled with stuff, don't you want to clear away the back room fast? So now, some portion of the stuff comes up. Okay, you deal with it maybe for a few months or a few weeks. Then you have a sigh of relief and you start thinking, I'm out of this. And then more stuff comes in. And then you feel dragged back into the dark night of the soul, right? So that is a good thing for you. Now, the more you keep going into these, dark phases, that means the more of this stock that is laying, in the back room is coming up. And finally, the back room can be empty and can stop weighing you down. Okay. So this is just the natural wisdom of the journey. The wisdom is that your union will not happen until you have purged. This is the truth. You may have manifested your twin flame. You may have found a way to keep your twin flame in your life by forcefully detaching and being in the now moment, etc. But it doesn't mean that, if your back room still has stuff, the stuff will not come out. This is a very natural journey. You should allow it to flow in the wisdom in which it is flowing. Okay. So yeah, I mean, this is what, I just wanted to share with you all today, that it's a full on journey for a twin flame. Every part of their life has to become spiritual. Everything, will have spiritual solutions. Every door which is closed on your face is something good for you, because it just reflects to you that this was not the door for you. And the void and the loneliness are very difficult to go through, but you are never alone. This is very important that you understand this. Okay. You are supported so much by your guides. You're supported so much by the divine. You have access to these divine beings at all points of time in your journey, in whatever way, in whatever form you connect. And the void and the loneliness, the sadness, that is in fact an opportunity to connect with the divinity in these divine beings, with these divine beings and divine forms, because otherwise you distract yourself from other people. With other people, you're just being in a distracted state of mind, holding distracted conversation. So this holds an opportunity for you. to really know yourself, you have to go through a solitary journey. So it's a full blown affair. All areas of your life, your career, your family, your relationships, your friendships, your body, your mind, everything is going to be transformed. You don't have a choice but to go through this. If you resist it, you're just going to bring yourself into more pain, more of a detour. There are so many stories of people having resisted the twin flame connection and done this and done that, and that is like you're forcefully walking away from what your soul wants you to walk on. So allow the journey to be what it is, whatever it may look like. It does not suit 3D timelines, it does not suit 3D expectations, because it's not of the 3D, it is of the 5D, which is then brought into the 3D by just, first of all, it has to exist and anchor itself in the 5D for it to manifest in the 3D. Anyway, all your 3D life is your manifestation. Even if you, let us say, if you are in a very abundant state right now financially, that is a manifestation of your inward state, whether you know it or you don't know it. Unconsciously, consciously, that is a manifestation of your inward state. So there is nothing that you need to do on the outside, any striving to create abundance. It's just a manifestation of who you are. For a spiritual being, it's always on the inside that the being is centered in, and that is reflected without. So it's a full process. You can't flirt with the twin flame journey. You can't skirt around it. You can't just, dabble your toe a little bit. You have to jump into the water wherever it is taking you with faith and surrender. That's the only way through. As they say, I think there is I don't know, an Urdu saying, I suppose, it says, ek aag ka darya hai aur doob ke jana hai. It also used to be some old Bollywood song, I think. The whole saying was, ये इश्क नहीं आसान, एक आग का दरिया है और डूब के जाना है. इतना समझ लीजिए, the second line. So for those of you who don't understand Urdu or Hindi, it basically means that, this love is not easy. Okay? Understand that it is like a well of fire, or you might say it's like a river of fire, a huge river of fire, and you have to cross this river of fire, of lava, of however you envision it, by drowning in it. So it's actually very fiery, because it burns everything. Fire always has that element of burning. In Sanskrit there is a term called klesha. Klesha is anything that is external to you, that you have kind of accumulated in your aura, accumulated in your systems, which is bringing you down, weird energies, wherever you go, this and that. So this is like, through fire you burn that klesha, right? You burn those external accumulations. So it's a very cleansing process, an aura cleansing process. So this is what you do. You're basically through the river of fire in which you are drowning. You don't have to be afraid. You don't lose anything. You lose only your old self. And I would also like to share this because this is just, we're speaking of fear right now. And I'd made a note of this that my guides had shared with me. And they'd said, life requires no safety. It is freely given and it is freely received. And this is, especially true if you ever have a fear of losing things in life, or you have a survival mindset. How will I survive in the 3D if I'm on the twin flame journey? The society will judge me, people will judge me, I will be thrown out of, my culture, etc., etc. Whatever are those fears, those are survival based fears. But the gift of life is truly, it doesn't need you to play it safe. That is your reptilian brain, which is focused on saving yourself, and one day you're going to die anyway. It doesn't mean you become reckless. That's not what I'm saying. So always use, your own sensibilities when it comes to this. But just means that have a brave heart, because this is a journey for the brave hearts. It's just how simple it is, it's not a journey for the faint of heart. And so there is nothing to fear. Your reptilian brain makes it everything, very difficult. Like, I need safety, I need security, I am these many years old, I need to be married, what will my parents say? I can't wait any longer. Then I may as well go choose a soulmate. See, all of those things, perhaps, those are not the right ways to think about your journey. You're allowing a very limited perception of your mind, the conditioning, etc., that you have accumulated, and you're allowing that to influence your core decisions for your twin flame journey, which are the decisions of the soul, which are spiritual decisions. It's like using a hammer, when a screwdriver is needed. Okay, you can fix something with a screwdriver, but you're just going to beat it up with a hammer. That's what it is when you talk like this, when you think like this, when you feel like this. Remind yourself of this. Am I looking at this from a spiritual standpoint, or am I looking at this from solely a survival based standpoint? Because there is nothing to fear in life. Life is given to you freely. You are receiving from life freely. Alright? So I understand that everybody goes through this part of the journey. It's a rite of passage. But it is best that you don't invest, especially if you're not connected with divine guidance all the time in your life. Sometimes you can get lost on the path of going back into the 3D and assimilating, yourself back into that same culture and imbibing the same fears and the same rhetoric of your family and your society and your culture, and looking again at life from that same standpoint of I'm a helpless victim. If my twin flame doesn't show up for me and proposes marriage to me, I'm helpless. Society will outcast me, etc., etc. So then in that case, you're not being a brave heart. Okay. So, because, yeah, I mean, on so many levels, the podcast has become very long. That is perhaps a different topic. So I will definitely upload this again, on this I will speak again as to why that is not the right thing for you to do. But like I said, don't use a hammer to fix something that needs a screwdriver. Don't decide your spiritual journey through the limitations of conditioning and etc., etc. And look at your twin flame journey as a spiritual journey, because that is what it is. That is what it is, right? And it's not that this is a hopeless journey either. You should always have hope for your union. You should never think that union will not happen, etc. But it is also like I'm sharing, if you are, brave in your heart, if you have that courage to go through this isolation and this whole phase of, um, moving away from society and moving away from societal compulsions, looking at yourself as this limited being that others look at you as, only if you have the courage to move beyond that, because these are very strong influences in anybody's life, okay, then definitely there is reward for you in the end. So this is just how it works. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. They say that all the time, even in the Matrix, this is the same. So it's good to be burnt in the fire of, this alchemical process. It's good. You all know about the original term alchemy, about turning any kind of a lower base metal into gold. That is what this journey is, right? So, yeah, I hope that it helped you. You can subscribe to my Patreon. If you wish to go deeper into various aspects of the twin flame journey, you can see the types of videos I've uploaded in the link below. If they interest you, then definitely you can subscribe. And if you wish to work one on one with me, if you need any individual guidance specific to your journey, then again you can connect with me and book a session. The link for that is also in the description box. Sending you love. Take care.